Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me again. Welcome to Going Live with Shelly Lazaro Express. So, this is the ECQ special edition of my regular TV program on Net 25, which is airing very soon. So, we're doing this Going Live Express thing until April 30. We'll see about the extension because the ECQ has been extended. So, we'll see about that. But meantime, I will be with you 4 p.m. every day until April 30. I hope you like and follow our social media pages for the Going Live with Shelly Lazaro program on Net 25. But right now, we are live streaming not just on Facebook, but also on YouTube, Instagram, Net 25 TV, and Eagle Broadcasting media channels. Before we start, I want to announce about the fundraising project of our mother company, Eagle Broadcasting Group. It's a mother company of Net 25 TV. It's our 52nd year, and we have a fundraising concert. We're doing this for 4 consecutive Sundays. We started last Sunday. I hope you catch our show next Sunday with Arnel Pineda as one of our guest singers. I am not performing, I am not a singer, but I will just be giving special, inspiring messages for everyone. So please watch out for that and don't forget to support our regular TV program. Um, I would like to, before I introduce our guest, let me announce the winner of our comment to win contest yesterday. So congratulations, Bren Taps. So he was correct. Our guest today is live streaming from Europe. So my question was for the viewers to make a wild guess, because our guest today is not in the Philippines at the moment. So make a wild guess where he will be live streaming from, and he was the first to type in the correct answer. So congratulations, Bran. Our Going Live with Shelly Lazaro team will be in touch regarding your prize and how you can get it. Okay, so this afternoon is a special episode. I keep saying that one of the purposes of this ECQ Express talk show, actually, it's the main purpose, is to commend and honor my friends and people that I know who own or run companies or organizations that have significant contributions to the society right now, to the community, the government during this global pandemic through their strong CSR programs and initiatives. So, what makes this episode extra special is the fact that we have with us today someone who has given so much and is continuously giving help, multi-million help at that, to the communities out of his own pocket. Not just him, but his entire family. They're very low profile considering that they own the biggest pharmaceutical distribution company in the whole of Southeast Asia. And this is on top of 29 other big companies that they own. And each of these companies has its own CSR program or initiative during this global pandemic, the COVID-19 crisis. But on top of these, our guest, a hardcore philanthropist, and his family have their own relief programs and have been giving out donations left and right. So these are all coming from their own personal resources, meaning these charity projects of theirs are not at the expense of their shareholders. Their own family foundation actually funds some of their company's CSR campaigns. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and great pleasure to welcome on our ECQ live stream show and to introduce to you live from Central Europe in the south of France, one of my favorite cities in the French Riviera, Monaco, Mr. David Zuellig of Zuellig Group of Companies, including Zuellig Pharma Corporation and Zuellig Family Foundation. Hi, David.
Hello, Shelly. Thank you
Hi,
very much for
David.
hi. Thank
Thank
you
you
very
for
much.
joining.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction. And I'd actually like to take the opportunity to say hello to everyone who has decided to look at their Facebook uh, and listen to this interview. I'd like to thank very much all our friends from Manila, some family from Switzerland, some people in Monaco. So welcome everybody, I guess.
David, what time is it in Monaco now?
It would be around 10 o'clock, so it's 6 hours
Okay.
different from Manila.
So good morning to you. David, before anything else, I would like to greet and thank your wonderful, beautiful spouse, my friend, Dr. Hazel. Thank
Yes.
you for arranging and coordinating this interview there. Our picture, it's an old photo of ours, I think. So, for the information of all our viewers, the beautiful spouse of David, Dr. Hazel, is the Philippines' top neurologist. And she is one of the best neurologists in the whole world. So, she is also one. Oh, I can hear you, says Hazel. She is also one of my favorite and highly admired ladies in our Philippine best dressed family. We work together as ambassadors for life for Philippine Cancer Society. Sis Hazel, we miss you here and we hope to see you soon when things are not so crazy anymore. So David, this is a much awaited show for everyone. They're excited to meet you. But before we talk about your many good deeds and all your relief operations and initiatives, somebody wants to say hello. We have a little surprise for you.
Okay.
Okay, I think is she here? Let me ask my product. Okay, our mutual friend wants to say hi. The Consul General of Monaco to the Philippines, our dearest Fortune Ledesma.
Hello,
Oh, you're
hello,
welcome,
Fortune.
David. I can see the
Hi,
background. It's so
Fortune.
beautiful. Hi, Shelly.
Hello, hello.
Oh,
Thank you very
thank
much
you. Hi,
for
David.
sorry?
How
This
are
is
you?
a surprise.
It's a very big surprise.
Are you
So much.
surprised? I just want to say hello to you and to your beautiful wife, Hazel. I agree with Shelly, the best neurologist in the Philippines, if not in the whole world.
Yes.
I have
Anyway,
I
I
happen
just
to
want
I happen to follow that, yes. I happen to agree.
yes. I just want to say to you that I watched the video um, message of Prince Albert last night regarding Monaco,
Yes. Yes.
and your lockdown is up to May 4. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
hope
For now.
everything is okay. And I would like to say that be safe and stay well and do take care. You and Hazel, please do take care. And hope to see you. Hope to see you during the National Day of Monaco.
Thank you. Yes, you will very likely see me during the National Day of Monaco. Uh, and well, I guess we're going to stay here for for a few more weeks, and then hope to
Ah, okay.
return. To Manila.
Oh,
So in the
okay. Hope
meantime,
to see you.
you too, please take good care. Take good care of yourself as well, and make isolation as interesting as it can be.
Okay. Thank you and God bless.
Same
More
to you.
blessings to you. And
Thank you.
stay well, okay?
Thank you. Thank you. Same to
Thank
you.
you. Regards again to your beautiful wife, Hazel.
Yes.
Thank you, Shelly.
Thank
Thank you, Fortune. I miss you.
Miss you
We
too.
should go
I
to
hope to.
Monaco together.
Yes, we will visit David and Hazel
Absolutely.
there.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Good food here.
Okay.
As soon as
Thank
it's
you.
safe to travel already. Bye, Fortune. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Have a
Bye.
good
More power to
afternoon.
you.
Bye. Okay, see David, it's a
And
surprise. It's
very much so.
it's it's like that in the show. We try to make it entertaining and we want to make our guests comfortable. David, let's discuss life during pandemic. For your personal and family life. How are you coping? Like personally, what are your daily activities?
Sure. Well, I consider myself to be very, very lucky. I have a wife who is very supportive. I have a wife who is very patient, and it certainly makes being in lockdown a lot easier. I think, we spend our days really following, to a degree, routine activities, which I believe helps. So speaking for myself, I do exercise in the morning. I do set some time aside for reading, and then there is, of course, the inevitable work-related time set aside. So the fact that we're all in lockdown doesn't mean that we are all on holiday, right? For poor Hazel does next to a lot of work that she does, a lot of communication with the Philippines, with the medical fraternity, friends, etc. Of course, there is a household that needs attention, and so that's basically how we pass our days.
Okay.
I'm,
So
I'm,
David,
I'm reminded.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry, yes, I'm reminded that we have no maid here.
So is Doctora Hazel doing all the laundry?
Pretty much so. And because she's very dedicated in everything she does, everything has to look very nicely.
See, the top neurologist is doing laundry in Monaco.
Yes, and applying as much dedication to the laundry almost as to brains and spines.
David, would you have some personal pieces of advice or tips to our viewers right now who are already feeling anxious at home? Because
Yes.
it's so hard for everyone to see into the future of COVID-19. I think most of them have cabin fever already, experiencing the psychological impact of this lockdown.
Yes, and of course it's not easy to give advice that would suit everybody, because I'm acutely aware of people, there are people who have more space than others, who have more of an ability to at least move to a limited degree, perhaps more than others, etc. But I think in a way, what I find for us at least, and certainly for myself, is very important is patience. I think also there is a lot of news on a daily basis. There is a lot of news on a daily basis concerning the virus. Some of it is measured, good advice. A lot of it is not. So of course it's a question of how I often feel myself that there is a bit of an information overload, considering the fact that this virus is new, considering the fact that there are companies working on a vaccine, which everyone assumes to take some time to get to the market, maybe 18 months, and then to reach the shores of the Philippines and other countries in the region. So it may still take a bit of time. I get the feeling that governments generally seem to be aware of what you call the cabin fever, and we may well see some relaxation. And I do hope that relaxation, as it comes, will allow for countries to continue to open up, rather than for a second phase to come in. So in the meantime, try to keep yourself stimulated. I wouldn't necessarily advocate Netflix, but that's me. I mean, I know a lot of people watch it. But try to maybe learn something new, or I mean, being at home actually does provide for certain opportunities.
Right, right. You know, David, you are a very healthy person. So all your activities for sure have something to do with being healthy and also being productive because you're very hardworking. I can understand, like you said, even if it's locked down, you never stop working. But I'm sure you will agree with me also that for those people, sometimes they get so frustrated because they're not, as you said, you will not recommend Netflix. But for me now, at this point, I don't think we should feel guilty for not doing anything. It's like you said, there's no advice that will fit everyone. It depends. For as long as you're able to cope, then that's okay. If coping for you means watching Netflix all day or doing Facebook, for the information of everyone also, David and Dr. Hazel, they have no Facebook accounts. So you can
No.
just imagine how productive they are. So but anyway, if we don't need to have the same routine or activities as David, but whatever works for you, for as long as mentally, emotionally, physically you're okay, then that's
That,
fine.
that is
Correct?
that, that is very correct. I would add that in my case, it's not so much the being used to being productive, etc. It is really, to a degree, it is that same concern that so many people voice, namely, what do I do with my time?
Mm-hmm.
How do I conduct myself in a fairly lengthy period where I suddenly have freedoms that I have never had to think about?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. David, I have another surprise for you, but I promise this will be the last surprise already. We will play a short game. This is so easy. This is not a physical game. We call this or that. It's actually
Uh-huh.
choices game. So I have 10 questions for you. Each question I'm actually just giving you two options. I'll give you two words and you have to tell me your choice as quickly as you can
Ooh,
without explanation, okay?
apology. Okay.
Number one. Number one, business or charity?
Charity.
Okay. Switzerland or Monaco?
Monaco. I shouldn't be
Okay.
saying that, Monaco.
Because you're there. Prevention or cure?
Um, Prevention.
Local or national?
National.
Urban or rural?
That's a tricky one. Uh, that's a tricky one. Depends, but I'll say urban.
Okay. Superhero or philanthropist?
Philanthropist.
Education or healthcare?
Uh, Education. I say that with a degree, but anyway, you want an answer, so I'd have to say education because healthcare can be included in education.
Uh-huh. Um, Ventilator or PPE? I have so
Uh,
many tricky
that's
questions.
actually, sorry, that's an easy one. PPE.
Okay. Manufacturing or distribution?
Uh, well, actually, in our times now, both are important, but I think distribution is a key to making products available.
Okay. This last question, I think, will be the hardest to answer. Almond or hazelnut?
No, that's an easy one. Looking at my own welfare, definitely hazelnuts.
uh, it's no brainer. Otherwise, no one will do your laundry, right? Okay, David, let's talk about Zuellig Group of Companies. Not everyone knows, but now they know already because I mentioned it early on that Zuellig has 30 companies. They all know about Zuellig Pharma being the flagship company of this umbrella company. But can you name some of these corporations,
Well,
David?
yes, sure. I mean, if with a group like ours, you will almost inevitably over time you will have a number of companies. Many of them would be holding companies rather than operating companies. So in the economic scheme of things, they don't really serve a particular function other than holding assets. But to answer your questions, yes, indeed, Zuellig Pharma is the flagship company. We have in the Philippines, we have another company called Metro Drug, and we have a company that is into manufacturing generics, currently actually manufacturing azithromycin and ascorbic acid, so vitamin C with zinc. And that is really to address some of the concerns around the virus. And the company's name is Interfil. So that's the Philippines. We are also, and Zuellig Pharma is in 13 countries in Asia. So Philippines is the originator country. We've been actually Zuellig Pharma has been established in 1922, so we're 2 years away from 100 years. And from there we branched out. We went to Thailand, Malaysia, eventually then Singapore, etc. We've also been into insurance for decades, actually since 1958, in a proper fashion. In a proper fashion, meaning that we've decided to go into insurance underwriting and broking. Now we're in underwriting. We used to be in animal feed in the region, but we sold that business. So we started off as a trading company and really pulled back to focus on a number of areas that we believe we understand and we can grow in. And if you take Zuellig Pharma, so Zuellig Pharma does distribution. Oftentimes it is confused with developing its own medicine. And I just like to say that it's really distribution and not research and development.
Yes.
But we carry a very wide range of products, both multinational company representing both multinational companies and national companies.
Okay, David, let's talk a bit about Zuellig Pharma, because even if you just said that you are not into product and research development, and you're not into manufacturing, you're purely distribution. But because of this coronavirus, people are very curious and interested to know about what the pharmaceutical companies, whether manufacturing or distribution, are doing now to help find that vaccine or cure. Um, Zuellig Pharma is an expert in medicine distribution. You're not just a distribution company, but you're an expert in medicine distribution. And you have a technologically advanced skyscraper in Makati, which is actually a landmark there. So, David, I know you used to be the chairman of Zuellig Pharma. Now you're a director. Can you share with us some of your duties and responsibilities as former chairman and now as director?
I'll try to do that. When I was chairman, and actually probably even before I became chairman, the healthcare industry generally, but also in Asia, offered some opportunities for entering the healthcare industry on a broader base. So I was a proponent at that time of looking for activities that were not distribution related. And over time, we have actually managed, or the Zuellig Pharma has managed to develop certain areas, be that IT, so AI to a degree, and digital, of course, yes, the digital industry. and looking at various other opportunities that we find to be helpful, partly to distribution, but also I think should allow us to take a broader route in the healthcare industry. So where we started off with distribution, I think we can to a degree manufacturing, we can say that going forward our model may look somewhat different. So for instance, one area I have not mentioned is really around marketing of products. So when you ask me how are pharma companies,
Yes.
particularly the multinationals, but not only, also some local companies, how are they viewing the entry of their own products? Clearly, one very important element is marketing, and that is where we have always seen an opportunity to be part, but we believe that going forward that is actually an industry that is going to become more significant, or a particular segment of the industry that's going to be. So we are to a degree diversifying, but keeping in mind that whatever it is we do, we try to do well. So we know we cannot be everywhere.
David, early on you mentioned your presence in almost all Southeast Asian countries. Do you know more or less how many employees you employ, the whole Zuellig group of companies globally?
Well, there I would think around 13,000, but there
30,000.
13, 13.
13, okay, 13,000.
But they're pretty much all in Southeast Asia. So it's not.
And
Yes.
Of the 13,000, more or less, how many are in the Philippines?
4,300 approximately, but that includes everybody. So Zuellig Pharma, Interphil, NDI, etc., would be around 4,100.
All right, okay. So Dave, I asked because we're now going to discuss the effect of this COVID-19 health crisis to not just Zuellig Pharma, but the whole Zuellig group of companies.
Yes.
In terms of operations and sales, David.
In terms of operations, well, we're a company that is sales we may have around $1 billion in the Philippines. What we find is that the distribution business in its own right, as I mentioned at some point earlier, I think distribution is a segment of the market that is important. And whilst we believe that with lockdowns, with quarantines, etc., there are always going to be some hiccups. But that, to me, is a managerial issue. In other words, because distribution is important, is vital, there are always ways of getting the products to the hospitals, to the patients, etc. So I think it is a business that in these times, as in others, I guess, serves a very vital function.
Okay, all right. So not just Zuellig Pharma, but you also have some businesses that are actually allowed to operate now during ECQ because you provide essential products or services. David, how about those who are not going to work, who are not reporting to work right now because some of your operations might not be allowed, right? How are you taking care of these employees?
It's a very good question. I think you're absolutely right. We have generally, I believe, we have some skeleton staff. So we have enough people to be able to provide the services that are necessary, and we find that the deliveries are important these days. So it's not as if our if the requirements were shrinking, in fact they're growing. So we have to have enough people. Now, it's always the case that there are the unfortunate people who have to work from home. And then there are those who may be even more unfortunate where they may not be able to work from home. So because their functions are not necessarily immediately required. Now, we're aware of that, and we are, as a group, we believe that we have to support these people financially and otherwise. So I know it's an answer. It can probably never be quite a satisfactory answer, but we're trying our best to support.
Okay. David, do you already have a post crisis or post ECQ plans in place for business recovery?
For Zuellig Pharma, it's perhaps a question of establishing the new environment. What you often get nowadays from companies is that it's rather difficult to project into the future what exactly it is that is going to happen. So depending on the severity, you will need different scenarios. So we have we decided to have 2 or 3 scenarios: a best case, a sort of intermediate case, which companies can feel comfortable with, and then of course the worst case. Now, the worst case, I'm absolutely sure nobody really wants to deal with, because that worst case also has other consequences. So it's not easy to plan for that. Clearly, it is a duty of managers to at least be mindful of the possibility that uncertainties ahead may last for longer than we would all like.
Right. But granting that this is all over, I don't know, as you said, this is very uncertain, and we really don't know. Right now we don't see the end of this COVID-19 until a vaccine or cure is found. But right now, would you have some ideas or proposals on how your companies, and I think the whole pharmaceutical industry in general, can actually help jumpstart economy when all this is over?
Well, the health industry, a bit like the food industry, is not entirely, or shouldn't be entirely, a matter for private sector. I think that whether one likes to hear this or not, the government has a role to play. Now, going forward, I think we have in the Philippines, we have obviously cost is an issue that has to be addressed. Cost has to be addressed, and so what we're looking at, and perhaps now moving from distribution to include manufacturing, is to possibly provide cost-effective products, short of a vaccine, that will support some of the needs that are and will be required. Now, of course, the multinational industry also has a role to play. It is important that the multinationals are able to import products, that they are able to do so affordably. But that is really just considering the healthcare aspect. Now, healthy people are very important. I said earlier on, when you asked the question about education or healthcare, I could have probably just as well said healthcare, because healthcare, if you don't have healthy people, you don't have healthy students, which in turn will affect the outcome. So but it's not entirely either or. So
Right.
anyway, so I think on our side, we will have to try to see to it that the necessary products will keep on being available. It's not always easy, even in good times. It's not always easy to do so, because the medical industry is a growing industry. So you're talking about capacity. But always interesting, but it is obviously it is a fundamental aspect of our service provision. Talking about the vaccine now, whilst we don't have a direct role in manufacturing or developing the product, we do have cold chain facility that allows for housing, for warehousing the vaccine safely.
Okay.
Because temperature fluctuations are very important.
David, now we move to my much awaited part of this interview, because this show really is about honoring, and as I've said early on, and commending companies and individuals doing significant things right now. Let's talk about Zuellig Family Foundation. You know, prior to this pandemic, David and his family have been helping for many decades now communities to understand what it really means to be healthy, right? So you use your expertise and influence to reach out to different communities, especially in the rural areas, the isolated communities, in partnership with the local governments, local officials, to train and educate them. So let's talk about these partnerships, David. Before we go to the specific efforts that you're doing to help address or help the communities with this COVID-19 crisis, but your ongoing programs, education programs for the community.
It is indeed in a way education. So we have developed, that goes back probably about 10 years, maybe 11 years. We have developed a health leadership and governance intervention program. The focus deliberately were the LGUs. So coming back to your urban, rural, I guess I could just as well say rural, because for the foundation, that was really the key focus, and still is the key focus for intervention. And maybe I will just step back a little bit and say that our intervention started 10 years ago. Of course, 10 years ago, there was no question about COVID-19 or any disasters as such.
Right.
We were aware that be they mayors, their healthcare workers, and then later governors, we were very much aware that everyone had a lot of work as is. So we were also aware that our interventions should be such that they could be easily taken on board and integrated into a budget process. So that was our beginning. Our focus was very narrow on maternal and infant mortality rate issues, and then expanded over time. And what we find, and now we are actually, because of our ability to interact with the communities, with provinces that we have selected, or that have selected us, perhaps I should say. We are now targeting issues around COVID-19 and how best to address those issues. Now, realizing that this is an event that is not here today and gone tomorrow, it will take a bit of time. We are also, as a family, we're very much aware that if we want to be actively involved in the process, in the development process, we have to have a structure, and clearly we also have to have funds behind what we're doing. And I will just briefly go back to Pharma, where Pharma actually has its own program, which we have funded. It's a venture with the Philippine Disaster Resilience Foundation. We have included, also part of it is Go Negocio, Metro Drug, and ABS-CBN has kindly agreed to support us on the, spreading the news. So there we are really focusing on providing necessary PPEs, etc., to government or to selected hospitals, etc. So a lot of it is still around distribution. Now, coming back to the foundation, we strongly believe that the foundation we have allows us to tackle the issues from a perspective from not excluding the provision of providing PPEs, etc. But the key focus really is to keep on working with training the mayors, healthcare workers, and where needed, the governors. So what we're actually, very broadly speaking, what we're doing is we are helping the provinces, the communities, to work with the directives that come from the DOH, because there is often a communication issue. So that's one area that we're looking at, and that we feel is very necessary. Of course, we're providing PPEs to the many, or at least to many of. Unfortunately, we cannot cover the entire ground, but to as many of the healthcare workers as possible, because that's really needed. We're providing the ability for testing. Having said that, we're very cognizant of the fact that testing has to be done by qualified doctors in qualified environments with equipment that is properly registered and tested. So our focus is more on PCRs rather than rapid testing. But I know there is still a lot of argument out there, so I'm not going to delve into that in greater detail. We're also, of course, we're looking at ventilators. Again, if you look at the news, etc., ventilators are fairly important, but apparently they also sometimes have their downsides, etc. So we want to work with communities that we feel are equipped to work with the support systems, and then hope that we can expand from there. But
David, go ahead, sorry. What's really commendable,
Sorry, no, go ahead, please.
I just want to say that what's really commendable about all these things, all these interventions that you and your family are doing through your Zuellig Family Foundation is the fact that all these are separate from your business interests. I mean, you are going to isolated communities. Right now, urban areas, they're growing. Well, prior to this coronavirus thing, they're all growing, but rural areas are left behind, and that's where you're going. And as I was saying, this is completely separate from your business interest, because I know for a fact that healthcare only accounts to about 20-30% of the total problems because I'm also involved in some of social civic projects. Like I was past president of Rotary, so I know that when you go to a community, healthcare only accounts for maybe 20-30%, and the rest education, livelihood, food. And your family, your foundation, you take it upon yourself to like fully support the community, not just with healthcare. Like you take it upon yourself to, I've been reading about this, to like form partnerships or to collaborate with other organizations, just so you can provide not just healthcare, but their other needs as well. So David, it's wow, amazing.
It,
Amazing. We thank you and your family for doing that.
well, it's not a thank you. I think we, we in a way we are as a family. We're interested in the welfare of the
Mm-hmm.
country. We've been there for the family. The business has been there. I'm representing the third generation, and the fourth generation is impatient to take over. So it's there is clearly there's clearly an interest. All of us, including my father, was born there in the Philippines. So we've for us it was not a difficult decision to make to focus on the Philippines. Now, coming back to what you said earlier about the focus, yes, you're right that we have decided to work together with other institutions, largely because we're very much aware of the fact that we do not know everything. So
Mm-hmm.
we're into nutrition, we're into family planning, if you want it, in a sense. And
Uh-huh.
so we've moved into areas that, interestingly, actually have also required us to work with other parties that focus more on the cities.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe we're in around 23 cities
Uh-huh.
in the
Okay.
country. Um, but the initial focus, you're absolutely correct. The initial focus and the remaining focus will be on the LGUs. And I
Okay.
L, livelihood is a multifaceted uh, term or expression. It includes so many things. It can be
Mm-hmm.
overwhelming. So we're rather careful in the way, because what we also do as a foundation is we do not necessarily focus on one or two communities alone and then
Uh-huh.
do livelihood, because what we're interested in is to expand.
Uh-huh.
So today we cover around 37 to 40% of the country, from the very north to the very south.
David, I want to give our viewers some numbers, although I don't know if my data is updated, but so far from between 2008 and 2019, you have already served, you've trained mayors from 774 municipalities and 25 cities, and governor from 27 provinces on health leadership and governance. Is that correct? Are my
That
figures
that would
updated?
be
Mm-hmm.
correct, yes.
Mm-hmm. David, you were hailed by Forbes Asia in 2017 as hero of philanthropy. And not everyone knows that Forbes Asia, I think they started 2007, 2008. Every
Yeah.
year, they scoured the Asia Pacific region to look for top philanthropists, correct? And but they only choose people. Their goal is to pick philanthropists who are giving their, as I've said early on, giving like you, giving their own money to the charities. They do not choose head of foundations or company owners whose donations are coming from the profits, their revenues, but people who are using their own money. And you were chosen in 2017. David, what is the driving force behind your philanthropy?
Um, I find that philanthropy is some ways more complex than business. In business, you have very clear structures. You have very
Mm-hmm.
clear structures. In philanthropy, you're working to having clear structures. So
Mm-hmm.
it's in a way, it's an interesting path to take. Um, Now, I'm not sure I could give you an answer to where my what constitutes my person to be focused on philanthropy. I would say that it's not a facet that is new in the family. It was actually my father who uh, sort of enabled the foundation to take off. And there is, as I say, with all of us, there is an awareness that business in its own right, it's fine, but it doesn't address many of the social issues. So it in part for me, it's an intellectual exercise, I guess. I'm interested to see how things develop, why they develop, why they don't develop, etc. What to do about it, and well, that's largely it. Now, if I'm not sure whether the you know, I don't think personally that I'm a hero of anything really. It's Forbes has this program. They have people that they nominate, and that's undoubtedly an honor. But to me, what is more important is the fact that you can actually make a difference. I'm not necessarily so keen on having a lot of publicity, because it does distract.
David, you are not a hero. You are a superhero. I think
No,
your heart beats not just for health, but primarily for charity.
well, you see, in the foundation, we avoid in a way the term charity. So what we like to do is we like to work with communities. The concern with so many people is that if you give money and walk away, you don't really know what is happening with the money. In our case, we want to see first how things work. Now, in our initial program, yes, there were some instances where we would, for instance, provide some assistance with birthing units and so on, but that was never the key a key element of what we were really offering.
Okay. David, you know, one of your co-award, I just have to say this, one of your co-awardees that year is Andrew Forrest. I know him, for sure you've met him during the awarding or other fellowships. Andrew has been supporting my anti-human trafficking and anti-modern day slavery initiatives, because I'm part of this foundation, Voice of the Free. So that's what we do. It's been my advocacy for years. And you know, you remind me so much of Andrew. You're both doing so much, not just in your country, but in the whole universe.
Well,
So
we try
yeah,
to do our own little bit. I think you know, it's important to have an idea where you want to go. Very
right.
important. But I think during the process, you will find that here and there you will have to make adjustments, and it's really just and we are very happy. I have to say, we're very happy with the team that we have. Without the team, we really wouldn't be where we are. You can
Okay.
imagine that working with communities, sometimes the GDAs, and it's a process. This is not something that you can expect to be successful immediately. You have to have frequent interactions that may last over a period of time
Right.
before you get the buy-in.
Okay. For the information of our viewers, because I brought up the name of Andrew, Andrew Forrest is from Australia. I think he's the second richest man in Australia. So I don't know if he's the richest man, but yeah. So he's like David
Yeah.
also.
I have
They
to
both
admit,
have good hearts.
I haven't met him. I've heard of him, of course, but I haven't met him.
Okay. All right. David, you are also an active member. You or your foundation is an active member of the Asian
Ah,
Philanthropic Circle. Yeah, Asian
yes.
Philanthropic Circle or something. Okay. David, earlier you mentioned, but because okay, David is Swiss, and I think in general, David Swiss, you're all very humble. You really don't want to brag about the good things. But the purpose of my show, it's not really about bragging, but I really want to inspire people to give them hope, to tell them that, hey, these are the people, these are the companies that despite what's happening, don't feel so negative about it, because there are plenty of people and companies who are
Well,
willing to help.
first of all, I should make a bit of a correction. If you say that
Okay.
I'm humble, I will thank you for that compliment, but I will do so as a Filipino, despite the fact that I don't speak Tagalog. But I will nevertheless do it.
Okay. All right.
Now, yes, I mean it's clearly it's a trying time for so many people. It's a trying time for poor people. It's a trying time for people who have assumed that everything will continue as it has ever done, and now suddenly find that they have to find fairly rapid solutions to change. I guess, for me it may be relatively easy to say to be not relaxed, but to be able to step back a bit. I try to understand, because I try to do my best to understand how difficult it is for so many people, and I do hope that
Yes.
that we will have the government, the business community. I hope that everyone is going to work together constructively, and I hope that we will find ways to make it easier on everyone to actually lead their daily lives as most of us are used to do.
Okay. So David, just a recap, because you mentioned already earlier that for your foundation has donated so far, you did not mention the number, 100, at least 100 million worth of
Well,
yeah,
yes, that is for
yeah.
the COVID. That is for
For
the for
just for COVID.
that's for
Viewers,
COVID.
this is just for COVID. And this
So
is on top of the other relief initiatives that your individual companies are actually doing right now to help out.
uh,
Plenty of ventilators and PPEs. At least 40 million worth of
uh,
ventilators or PPE.
so we
Yeah.
focus on PPEs to a degree,
Yeah.
ventilators. It depends on the focus and the hospitals.
Okay. All
Uh,
right.
Now you're correct in so the foundation, of course.
David,
Sorry. Hello.
there. I
Hello.
thought I lost you. Yes, yes, I can hear you. Okay. Can you give our viewers, can you leave them with inspiring message?
Well, uh,
In
I'm
this time of crisis.
well. I mean, I think I'd have to give more of a pragmatic message, which is
Yeah.
take care of your health. That's very, very important. Uh, I don't think there is a need for anybody really to get sick. It may happen here and there, but there is no need for that to happen as such. If you keep social distancing, etc. Again, not always easy to do. And I think we all look forward to the end of this virus having the current effect. So I think a lot of governments seem to believe that we're reaching. We've reached the high end of the curve, and now we should be able to address issues as they present themselves. But I'm saying that I'm being pragmatic because, of course, I understand also very well that all of us have to make sure that the hospitals are not overly overloaded, because not only do they have COVID patients, they have many other patients as well, and they need to be taken care of too. Now, that's not necessarily an inspiring message. It's a pragmatic message. But I think for everyone to go ahead this is not the end of the world. So
Yes.
I think it's actually, when we all look back on this in a few years, we look back at it as an experience. And for those of us who have children, for those of us who have grandchildren, we will probably bore them to death with all the stories that we have around this around this period that we were in isolation and had all these questions.
Thank you
So
so much, David. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry to
no,
interrupt.
I have a tendency to continue talking, so it's fine.
We like that. We want to hear your inspiring words. But David, just the fact that you are showing us the beauty of Monaco, it's a big help already. It's so inspiring, relaxing, and like now, everyone is so paranoid. We don't know as to when we will travel again, until a vaccine or cure is found. So just looking there, you have a very nice balcony. So I
This is
think this, yes.
true.
So
Well,
thank you.
thank you. Well, I was just going to say on your example with traveling, I think all of us who are not in the airline industry today have a good reason to be thankful, because there's so many concerns we do not have to address.
Yes, that's correct. I think the airline industry really is yeah, the effect in their business is so
There are
bad.
industries that will have to find ways to adjust. And
Yeah.
again, I think that's a question of time rather than the end of the world. So I will probably to stop myself. I will take you and Fortune up on your trip to Monaco and say I'll make sure I'll be here.
Okay. So I really hope this coronavirus says bye-bye to everyone already. So me and Fortune can go there and sit
Absolutely.
there and look at the wonderful view. Thanks again, David. So
Thank,
enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you for giving us time. Our
thank you.
viewers are so happy. And give my love and kisses to Dr. Hazel.
I shall
I
do
know she's
so.
listening. Thanks again, Dr. Hazel. We hope to see you both real soon.
Okay.
Stay
Thank you.
healthy.
Thank you
Okay.
very much. Thanks.
Bye, David. See you
Bye.
again. Bye. Okay, viewers. I hope you learned a lot. It's an honor to have with us this afternoon Mr. David Zuellig, live and exclusive here, only on Going Live with Shelly Lazaro Express, live from Monaco. I hope to see you again tomorrow. Same time, 4 p.m. Tomorrow, I invited Consul Tony Reyes of the Philippine Embassy in Singapore. So it would be good to know how our kababayans are doing there in Singapore and how Philippine Embassy is assisting them. So I hope you will join us tomorrow 4 p.m. Before I end, I need this comment to win promo announcement again. Okay. So I want to know if you're attentive. Who is our guest tomorrow? The first one to type in through the comment section the correct answer will get a special prize from me and from Going Live with Shelly Lazaro team. So who is our guest tomorrow? I just said that a couple of minutes ago. I want to know if you're really listening. Okay, so by the way, my good friend and co-baseball mom, Dr. Rica Baltasar, a very, very good OB-GYN. She's currently doing house calls now. So if any of our viewers now are pregnant or, people who are pregnant but cannot go to the hospital, please let me know. And Dr. Rica Baltasar can actually do house calls right now. So just you can course all your inquiries or requests for house calls through Going Live with Shelly Lazaro, and I will make sure that Dr. Rica Baltasar attends to you. Okay, guys. So I hope to see you again tomorrow. Thank you for always tuning in. Thanks again to David Zwillig, his lovely wife, Dr. Hazel Zwillig, a very good friend of mine. Um, to the entire Zulig family for all the good things that they're doing. Not just now during this crisis, but for many, many decades already. Okay, bye, lovey. See you tomorrow.